Hello all. Happy Morgana Monday. So we're starting the I have nothing to say. We're starting the third story. I don't know. I don't have any of an introduction right now because nothing's happened currently. Oh no. I realized something. I don't want this confirmed or denied. I feel like it's obvious at this point, but I just want to clarify that I don't really want any of my questions answered if they are spoilers. And I consider a lot of things spoilers. So I really don't want anything answered, I guess, unless it's already happened. But it clicked in my brain, and I'm not quite sure if this is the trend. I feel like it's going to be confirmed when I go into the third door, but I feel like white-haired girl is like a Disney princess in all of this. To elaborate before I go into this, I feel like the last story we just did, Beauty and the Beast, whether it's romantic or not, like that's Beauty, that's the Beast, right? Like Beauty and the Beast, like he's literally called the Beast, right? The first one is Cinderella, like very obviously so. Maybe not Cinderella, but like probably Cinderella. Something like Prince, poor princess. You know what I mean? Like Disney isn't necessarily what I mean, but I feel like we're doing like stereotypical like storybook rules currently. And I guess we'll see whatever the third door is. That's my like big theory right now. That's my like I have like red strings up on pictures theory. Anyway, before I needed to get that out because I thought about that when I was editing part 3 or sorry, I thought about that when I it's not part 3. We're past that. I thought about that when I was editing the last video. I was like, "Wait a second. Wait a second. This is seeming like princesses." Anyway, that's okay. I was okay. I hope you know what I mean, or you don't. That's fine. But I could be totally wrong about this. Well, again, the third door will probably really confirm or deny this. But that's my like fan theory right now. I guess. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, into it we go. Sorry. The door to the cellar swung shut. You had fallen to the floor at some point, unable to bear the stench of blood. The maid stood beside you, her arms wrapped around your shoulders. The maid's voice was chillingly gentle. That was quite horrific, wasn't it? Are you feeling unwell, Master? Oh my, you're shaking, Master. Fear not. I assure you, the beast will not come through that door. I'm here for you, and will continue to hold you for as long as you need to settle your nerves. Oh dear. You feel like you might freeze in my arms? Am I really that cold? I cannot tell my own temperature. Okay. You wish to know what happened to Beastia after that? I could open the door once more and show you. But I have no intention of knowingly tossing you back into that den of horrors. He lost the rest of his humanity, becoming wholly beast. But, to tell just a little more of the tale, it is my understanding that an entire village was ravaged shortly thereafter. He was a bewitchingly talented swordmaster. God, I hate him! Oh, I knew he killed him. Oh, I knew he killed him. Oh. What a horrific man. The worst human alive. He's not alive. The worst not human alive. He sucks. Not human, not alive. Whatever. Frick him. I freaking hate Beastia. Whatever. This is hashtag anti-Beastia stan account right now. I'm standing, not standing him. Not a single person living in that village could stand up to him. In the woman's memories you saw, he was a gentle man, yes? But even the mildest of men can change. Though personally, I believe without an element of monstrousness buried somewhere within, a man cannot become a beast, regardless of what may push him in that direction. Do you follow? Now tell me, Master, have you remembered anything? Oh dear. I was afraid of that. I am a remarkably patient maid. I shall accompany you for as long as you require. So do please find your memories. Now, let us head to the next door. The mansion is quite large, so hold on to my hand. We would not want to get separated. You and the maid traveled down the dimly lit hall, passing by the mirror once again. The light from the candle in the maid's hand was the only thing that reflected in it. The maid herself did not appear. However, just as you were about to avert your eyes, you thought you caught a glimpse. It's too soon. It's too soon to say that we are white-haired girl, but we are related to her somehow. Like, point blank. Duh! You thought you caught a glimpse of white hair. You heard a voice echo in the darkness, and when you turned to face the mirror again, the glass was the color of obsidian, as if it had been painted over. The voice seemed to be coming from beyond the mirror. The maid did not turn back, evidently not having heard anything. You... What? This is a choice? Oh, save moment. This is a choice. I don't think I've had a choice since the very beginning of the game. I was beginning to forget about that. I feel like it's bad if I extend my hand. Like, I think I'm supposed to avert my eyes, but I'm going to extend my hand. Wait, let me do 2 saves. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Extend my hand. You extended your hand toward the darkness overrunning the mirror. The second your hand brushed against the surface, the tips of your fingers sunk into it, and the next thing you realized, your whole world was sinking into darkness. You could hear a voice. Yeah? I am the witch. Yeah? Giselle. It's getting foggy. Looks like it might rain. Maybe we should take a break. You want to keep going? Oh, alright then. The steep in the forest? Thank you very much. You must be tired after such a long journey. This is the mansion I'm looking for, yes? He could have said something. Oh well. I should get going, I guess. Giselle. Does no one live here? But if that's the case, then why was I... Such a big door. Please open. It's not locked, I guess. Is this white-haired girl? I don't know how to read this voice yet, so I'm just going to read it in my normal voice until we get any sort of indication of who this could be. I feel like it's white-haired girl, though. I wonder if the window's open. Darn, not a hint of light. Hello? Is anyone there? Please don't tell me it's actually abandoned. I suppose I can't know without looking around a bit more. What do we have here? Drapes? I see a little light beyond. It's so pretty. It looks like an angel. Oh, this is pretty. I noticed we're not in the door because this is not supposed to be a door, which is interesting. Why would someone cover this up? It's beautiful. With a little more light, it'd be... Please do not touch the drapes. Or the windows. White-haired girl father? Potentially? Mikkel? I'm sorry for coming in uninvited, but, I did announce myself. Is this, your mansion? It is. Thank goodness. I was afraid it was deserted. I suspect you would have preferred if the house were abandoned. Oh, not at all. I would be scared to death staying in this dark mansion all by myself. I'm sorry. No ill will intended. But I do think it could do with some light. That way you could see where you were walking. And I'm sure this room would look splendid illuminated. Not necessary. I make do perfectly well as things are. How can you see when it's so dark? I have an abundance of candles and oil for lamps. I'm not in wants of means of creating light. This music's really pretty. It's not your place to criticize my lifestyle. If you need light, you're free to leave. Yeah, she kind of just wandered in his home and started criticizing him, so it was a little, yeah, that's, I kind of don't blame him. It's a little weird. If you're in need of money, help yourself to some of the furniture. There's a village not far from here. Trade it for food, and make your way to a larger town. I am no longer able to freely return to the city. I cannot go back there. Please, don't chase me out. I see. And do you ask this of me, aware of how people refer to this mansion? They say that a witch lives here. Not merely a witch. A cursed witch. If you remain here, you too shall likely suffer your own destruction. You're worried for my well-being? Witch or not, my mind is made up. Which will strike you first, I wonder? Regret? Oh wait, sorry. Which will strike you first, I wonder? Regret or the curse? You seem to be doing just fine. It's only a tale. The witch is real. Very much so. It's not a legend nor a fairy tale. The witch... Is the white-haired girl's name Morgana? The witch's name was Morgana. I wonder... Is me. Memento. Now, what does that mean? What was that? Is Mikkel the white-haired girl? Is Morgana the white-haired girl? Who is the white-haired girl? Oh my. What's the matter, Master? Why are you just standing in place? There's nothing there. The maid did not seem to have seen anything. You made to ask her about the scene you had just witnessed. Master? You look like you've seen a ghost. What's the matter? How about a little rest before we move on? You do not wish to remain here? Still not fond of mirrors? Yes. Now, let us be off. I too dearly wish for you to return to your old self as soon as possible, Master. If your desire is to push onwards, then I could hardly be happier. Now, follow me. I'm curious. I'm just gonna save. And then... Did you see me almost save over that? My god. Literally scream. Okay. Let's see. Avert your eyes. You averted your eyes. Up ahead, the maid's candle flickered faintly. You found the dim orange more comforting than the all-consuming darkness. And so, you followed the maid's lead, returning to the living room. Okay. I'm gonna... No. I don't know. I'll put this in the back. No, I'll get more saves. What is A? Oh, autosave. That makes sense. No, I just won't touch this yet. I'll lock this for now, so you don't accidentally save over that. Locking smart. More visual novels need that. Okay. That's definitely a branching choice that probably has different endings. I feel like I know this game has different endings, so that makes sense. Yeah, okay. So it just continues the same other than that little bit. Okay. I don't know which one would be bad or good ending at this point. I can't see any of these endings being necessarily great, so we'll see. You followed the maid's lead, returning to the living room. From there, you climbed... Oh, that last character was definitely a Fudo character also. By the way, hi, Fudo. That was it, wasn't it? Wasn't it? Sorry, my friend Fudo was the one who got me into it. Got me into this game. So anyway, everyone say hi, Fudo. Anyway, it was totally him, right? It was him, right? It just clicked. Anyway. From there, you climbed a set of stairs, your hand sliding through the dust that had settled on the ebony railing. When you stepped out of the sight of the mirror, the maid returned to normal. You had been on the verge of remembering something, but you were no longer in a position to be concerned about such things. For the chill in the air within the mansion seemed to have intensified. Standing at one end of the long corridor, you asked the maid, "When was the mansion built? I would imagine you know more about it than me, master." "Yes, I know. You have not yet regained your memories. I was simply teasing you. I've been a servant of this house for many, many years. But the truth is, I don't know everything about it. All I know is that the mansion is cursed, and that it has brought misfortune upon its residents since times of old. I can make a conjecture as to when it began, but I believe you should figure it out for yourself, master. Oh my god. There's no guarantee my perspective is the correct one. Now, let us proceed." You and the maid traveled down the dimly lit corridor. While the layout of the house was the same as the eras of the flaxen-haired boy and the beast, the bleak, colorless gloom felt incredibly dreary. On the wall partway down the hall hung a painting. The painting, which depicted a beautiful landscape, was oddly entrancing, but you didn't have time to appreciate the artwork. Your hand in the maid's, you passed by the painting. Before long, a door came into sight at the end of the hall. "This door is what I'd like to show you next, master. Listen closely. Do you hear the voices? Lively but rough, energetic but coarse. What lies beyond this door is neither a period of elegance and abundance like the first, nor one of ruin and savagery like the second. Technology and culture had become quite developed. Cameras and photography had been invented. It was a time of great progress and many breakthroughs. And for that reason, those who lived in it were constantly seeking to try new things. The tale I'm about to tell you is of one of a man who wagered everything on his ambitions. I hope that what you see, master, will stir something within your heart. Now, through the door we go. Please do not let go of my hand." The maid pushed open the door. Colorful balls bounced around atop a long, dark green table. One man, dressed in black and standing by the billiards table, turned towards the door. The room was inundated with eye-watering cigar smoke, causing you to squeeze your eyes shut. Okay. The third door. $18.69. Okay. We're getting there, slowly but surely. Ooh. That era was a rat race of innovation. Sorry, innovation and development. The smoke was so thick you could hardly see more than a few feet ahead of you. I could compare it to a dense morning fog, but that might give the impression of beauty. There was a little of that to be found in this haze. This is such a good song. I'm jamming so hard. Okay. Do you see the silhouettes of several men in the smoky room? The one in the middle? The one looking in your direction, master, was the present master of the house. Jacopo. His name was Jacopo. And though he dressed in such fine attire, I sincerely doubt he understood how splendid the furnishings left in the mansion truly were. I am a faithful servant of this house, and I would not for the life of me dare speak ill of my master. However, this is a time long past. I imagine God would be so kind as to turn a blind eye to a little bit of honesty. I kind of love the maid. You know what? Speak your truth, girlie. Speak your truth. I love her. I was not terribly fond of my master back then, girl. She said, frick, Jacopo. How is... Okay, pause. She hated Jacopo, but she was fine with the beast. What's your standards here? How bad is Jacopo then? He had wavy hair the color of over-dried tea leaves, a piercing gaze, an arrogant smile, and he wore a hat that made him look rather haughty. He put his trust only in money, renown, and rank. He loved only the iron and steel that had revolutionized so many industries. He had not the slightest bit of love or care for other people. At the very least, that's what I believed at the time. Take a look around the room, Master. Jacopo had remodeled it into a recreation area. Okay. A billiards table sat at the center of the room, and the downward-facing lights hanging from the ceiling were special made. The lights shone upon the dark green stand like a stage. Cigars and bourbon lined glass cases installed in place of bookshelves. The cases were always fully stocked, their contents available to partake of readily. At that particular moment, as he had many times before, Jacopo had invited several friends and acquaintances, and they were entertaining themselves. His wealthy, high-ranking acquaintances had a variety of hair colors, from polished brass to the brown of a baby robin to the color of sunburnt wheat. There was also much greater variation in skin tone compared to the visitors and residents of previous eras, but that was hardly any surprise, for the mansion sat upon land inhabited largely by immigrants, the New World. Where the hell is this mansion? I'm getting to feel like it moves around. It might. What's the matter? What are you looking at? Nothing. I just thought I heard someone say my name. I went southern. I tried to do transatlantic there for a second. I need to... Because this is the time. Well, I think this is before transatlantic, actually. I'll figure something out for Jacopo. Ain't no one there, unless you've seen a ghost. I don't believe in such nonsense. It's an old house with a long history. Wouldn't be surprised if it had a ghost or two. But the place is gonna be haunted. If the place is gonna be haunted, I'd take a princess over a bloody broad any day. A princess, eh? And when she showed up, you'd have your way with the ghost lady, am I right? Oh, what people. Color me impressed, son. You jump her bones and she don't even got any to jump. Come on now, that's hardly fair. Not much you can even do with a ghost. Okay. My God, are you men or children? This is my house and I'd rather you don't talk about it like that. Just the blathering of a couple of drunks. Pretend you didn't hear nothing. For the love of God. In any event, whatever happened to the printer you invested in? I haven't heard their name come up in some time. Can we please avoid that topic? It's been quite the headache for me. Doubt it'd pay off, but it always sounded sketchy to me. I'd recommend you pull out unless you want to find yourself with nothing left but a nice fat old pile of debt. You could have mentioned that beforehand? Ugh, this is killing me. Men's deep voices resonated in the cloudy room. As then they imbibed alcohol and puffed on their cigars, they conversed mostly about business and money. Jacopo and the rest of the men were a breed known as investors. You might also call them tacticians. They survived on information attained before anyone else by making swift decisions and having foresight. Though, instead of flesh and bone, their soldiers were made of ink and paper. To an outsider, this meeting might appear to be a congregation of friends, but in reality, they were observing one another, gathering information, and anything else they could use to get ahead. At times, money and information were exchanged directly. And when they were no longer financial value to one another, their relationship would pop like a bubble and dissipate into nothing. But you know, Jacopo, you can't be sure this railroad you're so passionate about is going to bear fruit, neither. You don't even know if it'll get finished. And even if they do connect the tracks, will it really be any shape for people to ride? It's a pipe dream, the transcontinental railroad of yours. We're in America. What? I don't feel like maybe we were in America before. I'm like, I don't feel like that was America. Maybe it was. Maybe it is a traveling mansion. Jacopo went silent, but I'm certain this is what was going through his head. They're really a bunch of damned imbeciles if you can't see the entire country's put their weight behind this endeavor. This is why you have so much trouble making even a few thousand. At the time, a great railway was being built across the breadth of the continent. Construction was spearheaded by 2 large rail companies. No, it has to be, because there's no way it would have been... I don't remember the year of the first group of people, but there's no way it would have been like that developed, like the flaxen-haired group. There's no way. So it, like, the mansion has to be traveling. I don't know where the second one it was, but I'd assume like near it, but I'm just not remembering. Ugh. If they're building a transcontinental railway though, like that's got to be in the US. Construction was spearheaded by 2 large rail companies in competition for both prestige and a bigger share of this massive national enterprise. The Union Pacific Railroad Company started building from the east, and the Central Pacific Railroad Company from the west. But government bonds alone were not enough to finance the massive undertaking. By the way, there's been some less than pleasant reports about workers dying on the job for the company you chose, Central Pacific. I don't remember about the Transcontinental Railway. I'm suffering here. I'm trying so hard to remember. God, my history freaking classes taught me nothing. Oh, God. All right. Ah, you mean how they're using explosives to blast in the mountains? Making quite the bang, aren't they? But if this gets to be much bigger of a fix, they're not going to be able to continue construction. You should at least put your money in the more sure bet of the two, the Union Pacific. It'll cost you to hire replacement workers, and to keep kicking the bucket, you're going to have to have trouble finding more. My goodness. Here I thought you all had spines. You think we're going to run out of workers because a few ate it? So many we don't even know what to do with them all. There's not a chance that well will dry up. And if by some chance it does, all we have to do is scoop up a shipful. I don't want to read that line, so I won't. I understand why she didn't like Jacopo. Okay. You won't get anywhere if you spend your time worrying about a few measly laborers. This is an endeavor backed by the entire nation. Their deaths are honorable in service of their country. The biggest loss is not some people's lives, but of time. The longer a project takes, the more money it costs, and the less profit we make. What we seek is rapid progress, even if the methods to obtain it are messy or deadly. I mean, this is accurate to the times. This is pretty accurate. It was pretty horrible. It's pretty bad. The other men in the room chuckled uncomfortably at Jacopo's distasteful choice of words. Do you agree with his way of thinking? No! Oh my God! Perhaps he does have a point, and that great sacrifice is necessary to accomplish great things. And it is true that tragedy often lies in the shadows of the splendor of times long past. Furthermore, the way people see the world changes with times, so I hesitate to criticize him too severely. No, you can criticize him. No, as I'm sure you've already picked up on, he was an investor who'd put money into a railroad company. He also possessed several crude oil refineries, riding on the world's second wave of industrial development. The mansion, too, bustled with life in a way it had never before. Dozens of maids, including me, gardeners, chefs, sculptors, artists. At times, we even had riders coming in and out of the house. There was rarely a moment of silence. However, I was not terribly fond of the hustle and bustle, personally. But please don't get me wrong. I'm hardly opposed to the mansion being cheerful. It was just... how should I put it? The splendor of the time seemed superficial, heartless. It was as though everyone was being rushed along some unknown, invisible force. I feel like I'm so intrigued as to where this door will take us, because like at the beginning of each door, like I felt like the main person, right? At the beginning of each door, I liked them and then I hated them. Well, Beast I was like 50-50 about for a very long time, right? But like eventually I was like, oh, I mean, he's an interesting character. I really don't care about Jacopo. And I'm like, I'm gonna push through because I know it's gonna be good, because all these have been good, right? But I don't think we'll end up liking him, because at the end we dislike them. Or I dislike them. I never like them. I don't like them. Well, that's my thing. But I'm like, is it going to be a twist and we like him, or do we just absolutely abhor him? Like, how is he going to be worse than how is he going to be worse than the last door? Oh, God. Part of it was, I expect, caused by the growing divide between those standing at the top and sitting at the bottom. Or perhaps the mansion was simply taking after its master. There's no time to waste. Everything's resting upon the success of this project. Whatever it takes, I will ensure it happens. I need more money and more power. Suddenly, a restrained knock on the door stopped his train of thought. From beyond the door came a woman's voice, gentle as a soft spring breeze. Pardon me, I've made some tea. May I offer anyone a cup? Well, I didn't think they'd just show her this early, but I guess frick, here she is. God dang. All right, okay, Miss White-haired girl. What's your bit this time? Let's see. I feel like everyone needs like a southern accent in these times, so I'm gonna do a settle to like large. And I'm sorry because it will be bad because I can't do accents. But it feels right to me, so I'm going to do it. So I'm gonna try to do white-haired girl's voice, but like slightly southern. When the door opened, in it stood a beautiful woman with pure white hair. It was indeed her. Are you surprised? Or did you anticipate her appearance? Though she was not the same age and dressed differently, the white-haired girl, whom you saw fall into the hands of misfortune in the era of roses and the era of feast, was also present in the era of innovation. Oh, that's what it's called. Era of innovation. Okay. She looks cute. Furthermore, she was Jacopo's wife. Oh, God, poor white-haired girl. That's where she's suffering this time. Tea? I don't recall asking for that. When were you asked to make it? I wasn't, but I had these leaves with the most wonderful aroma, and I thought you might enjoy. Shut your trap and know your place. What do you think we have all these maids for? Hey now, no need to treat your lady like that. She was just trying to be courteous. These are my personal affairs. Keep your comments to yourself. His friends were unsure how to react, but ultimately, nobody stepped up to stop Jacopo. They merely shrugged, tossing glances at one another. Jacopo stomped over to the white-haired girl. Then he grabbed her by the arm and dragged her from the den. What the hell do you think you're doing? I've told you time and again to stay away from that room unless absolutely necessary. I'm sorry, but I made some tea and... Shut up about the tea already. I think we're having tea parties in there like a bunch of prissy nobles. I'm sorry. If you really feel bad, don't go in there in the first place. Get the hell back to your room. I meant no harm.
It's just, your wife. I thought it'd be nice if I could do something.
Like I've told you, that's not your job. Don't show yourself in front of other men. Oh. I have nothing else to say to you. Got it? Now scram. Six alive, first them, now you. It's driving me up a wall. What is it? I've told you to get out of here.
Right, but...
What?
When will you spend time with me next? It's been some time since we last went out together. But we don't even have to go out. Just having dinner together would...
How many times are you gonna make me repeat myself, you worthless tramp? Are those ears only for show? Oh my god. Go back to your goddamn room.
My apologies. Looking utterly downtrodden, the white-haired girl made her departure. Such a piteous sight she was. As he watched her go, Jacopo merely snorted. Just thinking about the way he behaved then angers me. I have little fondness for men who treat their spouses... who do not treat...
I thought she was about to say who treat their spouses with respect. I was like, that's not right.
Who treat their spouses...
who do not treat their spouses with the respect. Oh, God.
As you can see, the white-haired girl was in hardly a joyous situation. She was devoted to Jacopo and tried to do whatever she could for him. But he not only brushed her aside, he did so in an insulting, deliberately harmful way. They were far from picturesque partners. Do you wonder then, Master, why she married him? The answer to that question will come to light in time. For now, let us follow her.
Aww. Poor question mark, maybe Morgana. Potentially Morgana.
Looking down dejectedly at the undrunken tea, the white-haired girl walked alone down the corridor. Though its calming scent filled the air, there was nobody around to have their heart warmed by it. Nor was there anyone to alleviate her loneliness. Despite being the master's wife, the maids who crossed her path in the halls said nary a word to her. As a matter of fact... Oh dear. I beg your pardon, madam. It's fine. One even bumped into her, stifling a laugh as she trotted off. In all likeliness, she had done it intentionally. The poor white-haired girl who had fallen to the floor stared helplessly at the broken cups. The tea she had made for her husband was forming a stain in the carpet. The maid's behavior towards the mistress of the house was absolutely unacceptable. Nonetheless, it was commonplace, all because of the way Jacopo treated her.
That sucks.
The more the man of the house acted cruel to her, the more weight her position as his wife held to the servants. Day in and day out, the maids worked busily, offered little opportunity for leisure, so they would have naturally accumulated quite a bit of stress, and she became the target to let off this steam. Not directly, but through a more subdued kind of harassment from the shadows. She must have felt quite miserable. I imagine she would have been better off as one of the maids. Yeah. On the surface, and in front of the others, they showed respect for her as Jacopo's wife, but behind closed doors, they acted very much the opposite. The disparity between the treatment she received around the others, the treatment she was supposed to receive at all times, and the way she was actually treated made the abuse that much worse. And furthermore, as you've seen through the other doors, Master, she was a very reserved young woman. She could neither raise her voice in reprimand, nor raise her hand in retaliation. I have to get this cleaned up.
Oh, that was too heavy. I'm trying to decide if I really want to go through it with these southern voices, because I really can't take them seriously, and I don't know if anyone else can freaking take them seriously watching. Oh, I'm trying, gamers.
She extended her spindly fingers towards the shards of shattered porcelain. But even the broken cup seemed to have no concern to spare for her. A shattered edge cut her fingertip when she made to pick it up. A trickle of warm red blood ran across her unearthly white skin. As painful a sight as it was, it had a sort of taboo beauty to it. The blood spilling from her fingers showed no signs of slowing down. She clenched her hand into a fist, let out a sigh, and went back to collecting the shards of porcelain. But when she did...
Maria? Who in the hell? That's a new character. Madam! What's the matter? Madam, you're bleeding!
With all the other maids ignored her, one came running over, shouting, to the white-haired girl's side.
We need to get that cleaned and bandaged up. Oh, you don't need to pick that up. That's not your job, madam.
It's all right, Maria. It's not much to pick up.
It's not at all. All right. And the rest of you, why are you just standing there? You're the boss's wife is on her hands and knees, and you're not even lifting a finger to help her? You disgust me.
Maria, it's fine, really.
Oh, madam. If you weren't so timid, this wouldn't happen. You're allowed to yell at them, you know.
It's all right, really. It's my fault. Anyway, we should get that finger taken care of. Let's get you back to your room, okay? But the broken cups and the spill... As I said, that's the maid's work. Now come on, let's go. Okay.
And the rest of you, get this mess cleaned up.
She roared like the wind in a thunderstorm. The other maids stood there dumbfounded, watching as she and the white-haired girl disappeared down the hall. But they were soon frowning and grumbling at one another. She thinks she can act all high and mighty just because the master is fond of her.
The master's fond of Maria? Interesting.
The woman's name was Maria. She was one of the maids. And she was the one person in the mansion the white-haired girl could think of as an ally. Though her husband paid her no mind and the maids made her life miserable, just one person, Maria, treated her with respect and kindness. And I'm sure you can readily imagine how much of a lifesaver that was for her. I too found myself somewhat relieved that Maria was there for her. Being a servant of this house, I was also one of the maids working there at the time. However, I was unable to involve myself to any great degree in her fate. This meant that there was little I could do to assist her, even in times of pain and unpleasantness. The best I could do was pray that Maria would continue to lend the white-haired girl her hand.
And that does it.
Thank you, Maria. You're always such a big help.
Oh, no need to thank me. I just did what any good maid should do.
No one else is in the room, you know?
Oh, right, then I can drop the act. Man, I just can't get used to talking all stuffy. I'm out there doing my best, but the head maid's still spouting stuff like, your manner of speaking is improper for a servant every single time we meet. Come on, just shove it, would ya? You're a damn creep.
Now, you mustn't speak ill of her like that.
Sorry. Slip of the tongue. She gives me the willies, you know? Speaking of, you drop the stuffy talk too, madam. Kinda awkward if only one of us is acting casual, you know?
This is normal for me. If I attempt to talk like you, I'd freeze up out of nervousness. This is my casual.
Fair enough. Guess that's what happens when you're raised well. I like it though. It has a very regal feel to it.
I don't think my upbringing is the only factor.
Ah, but you know, upbringing is important. Worth a whole lot more than money, I'd say.
I suppose. Thank you, Maria. You're always so compassionate.
You betcha. They don't call me the Virgin Berry for nothing. I practically bleed compassion.
You know, that might be true. You very well could be the reincarnation of the Mother of God.
No. You were supposed to laugh at that. It's just embarrassing if you take it seriously.
Alone in the white-haired girl's room, Maria was acting much more friendly and relaxed as they conversed, as opposed to her no-nonsense attitude in the hallway. The two women were, as you can see, quite close. They crossed over the wall separating master from servant and built a bond of friendship. And at some point, They'd begun to speak frankly with one another when no one was around. Maria was the only person in the mansion around whom the white-haired girl felt comfortable being open. I imagine she had very much enjoyed these moments of conversation. You wish to know who the head maid was? My. Are you sure you want to ask me that, master? Some questions are better left unasked for your own good.
Was she the head maid? Like, what is this?
I have to say, madam, you have the prettiest fingers. Mine are all rough and dry and nasty. You think so? Mine haven't the slightest bit of muscle. They're about as frail as dead branches.
Who needs beefy mitts anyway?
I still think healthy-looking hands like yours are far more attractive.
What? What's not to like about these things? Or, oh my god. What? What's to like about these things? Women all over the world dream of having hands like yours. Slender, feminine, and perfectly cared for. I don't know. Just looking at them lights a fire in my... Oh, Maria? 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 Girly! I'm not reading that. Girly! She is from the Isle of Sappho, girly. Oh my god! Maria! This is a lesbian. This is just a lesbian. Like, she is just a lesbian. I am not reading this. Girly! Maria!
Stop that, Maria. Seriously.
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. She's not kidding.
Oh, Maria.
Ah, right. How did those tea leaves turn out, madam? The ones you imported? All the maids just adore it. They can't get enough of the aroma. I'd sure like to get a taste of it. If you end up with extra, could you spare a sip for me?
That was, what was in the cups I dropped?
What? Really? Well, ain't that a crying shame? And Jacopo wouldn't have any of it? God, why does that man have such a stick? Oh, Maria. He went through all the trouble of making it for him and...
He was busy. It's not his fault.
Busy? You ain't playing billiards, drinking bourbon, and puffing up a damn cigar?
It may look to us like they're making small talk, but I'm certain their meeting has some importance to their business. It was imprudent of me to try to step into the men's world.
That's just not right. I mean, you're his wife. Why shouldn't you be allowed in the room?
It doesn't bother me. You don't have to pretend. Here's an idea. How would you like to have some tea? Some of that tea now. We have some orange marmalade, which you like so much. Add a scoop of that and a tray of cookies, and we have the perfect tea time.
You're singing the siren song, madam. But you really should be doing that with him.
He would not have tea. I suspect he doesn't like it. I don't want it to go to waste, so... Madam, I know it's none of my business, but... And I have no place saying this, but... It's not impossible for a woman to file a divorce these days. You don't have to sit down and take it. Not one bit. You're pretty well educated and still young. There's hope even if you do leave him.
I don't know. 1860 is like... I don't feel like you get divorced unless, like, something drastic happens. Unless you have, like, the power to do so. But, like, women don't. Like, 1860... Maria, that's... I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe. I don't really feel like there was a lot of power to divorce women back then. Because I'm like... 1900s was still hard on divorced women's. There are plenty of other men out there. You aren't obligated to stick with that arrogant jerk.
He's just very busy right now.
There you go again.
There was a time when he was kind. He wasn't like this when we first met. Back then, he was a little awkward, but a kind man.
Him? A con man?
Yes, believe it or not. There was indeed a time. Say, Maria, would you mind giving me a little bit more of your time? I'll make some tea and we can talk.
All right. If you're telling me about when Jacopo was decent, I'm all ears.
Indeed. Okay. God, she's so pretty. As I'm sure you're aware, our parents arranged our marriage. Before I emigrated to this country to be married, I lived in a misty island nation.
Is it the UK? Is that where they lived? Like,
portraits of my ancestors hung in the house where I lived. I remember, as a child, wincing in fear at the sight of them staring down at me. My mother and father were constantly telling me to show them respect, as it was their hard work that kept our bloodline alive and well. However, they were fighting an uphill battle to do the same. It would have been clear to anyone reasonably perceptive that our house was coming tumbling down. Valuable furniture and paintings slowly disappeared.
Okay, if she's not from this country, I'm stopping the accent. The maid can keep it, though. I'm stopping the accent. I've decided no more accent for white-haired girl. It's done. It was a decision I thought about, and it's gone completely.
Valuable furniture and paintings slowly disappeared, and eventually the portraits were gone too. As our house collapsed, so too did my parents' health deteriorate, robbing us of any source of income. And though I was educated, I lacked the skills necessary to obtain work.
Why does it... I've been thinking about it this time, but I feel like her eyes don't look as red as they normally do. But maybe I'm wrong. I need to look at her model more.
Just as we were about to run out of money and options, my parents received Jacopo's parents' marriage proposition. Both of our families stood to benefit from the arrangement. I had social status, and he had wealth. We each had what the other lacked. One needs more than money to make it in the world. Without at least a semi-reputable name attached to you, you're liable to get laughed out of most social gatherings. I first met Jacopo here, in this country. We didn't even know what the other looked like until our wedding day. To be quite honest, I was scared to death at first. I was so nervous. What kind of man would he be? Was I to be wed to some middle-aged stranger? We were not marrying because we'd fallen in love like a normal couple. I knew I was in no position to be concerned about such things, but when I thought about our future, I shook with fear. But the man I saw through my veil at the wedding was remarkable. He was young, had strong masculine eyes, and at the same time, he too appeared nervous. He was shaking as much, no, even more than me. Seeing that, the priest gave him an impish little smirk when he asked Jacopo if he vowed his eternal love to me. I counted myself among the happy. Hello? And I still do. For in that moment, I experienced true love. You wanted to hear about when he was kind to me? Well, after the wedding, we were given a week to ourselves. I suppose you could call it a honeymoon, though we didn't take a trip overseas or even go very far at all. He looked at me with uncertainty and said, "Where would you like to go?" I beg your pardon?
That's what this week is for, right? I'll consider granting your request, so tell me where you want to go.
This is all so sudden.
Nothing? Well, this whole engagement was spur of the moment. Normally, we'd have planned a trip in advance, but unfortunately our purpose is served so long as we act the part. Must be disappointed you have to plan a honeymoon as it's happening.
No,
What? Speak clearly.
I don't like it when people don't speak their minds. I'm sorry, but I'm happy. Even if this is a political marriage.
Well, you're quite the positive thinker. Your parents say something to make you think that way? Well, either way, if you're so glad to be in this arrangement, then hurry up and decide a destination. Though there is a limit to how far we can go. If you want to take a trip, I'll consider it. What? Something funny?
It just seemed comical to me that our honeymoon has begun and we're only now deciding where we want to go. Not in a bad way, though. I'm glad our parents didn't arrange everything for us. Perhaps you've heard, but I'm quite sensitive to sunlight and not in the best of health. So it would be rather trying for me to spend a full week out of the house. We couldn't go on a trip, but if it's not too much trouble.
Oh, I changed my mind about her red eyes. Those are very red. Speak up.
Could you show me around the town? I'm new to this country and unfamiliar with its customs, and I'm rather afraid to go wandering about on my own.
Show you around?
Yes. Would that be possible?
On a rare bit of time off, you asked me to show you around town? Is it really the most exciting idea you have? This is when he was nice? I dread to see him mean.
I'm sorry. If there is somewhere you'd like to go, I'm fine with that. I'll accompany you anywhere.
As if I could drag someone who would just profess to being sickly all over the country. My God, I've lost all interest in a trip. This is when he's nice? Hello? What are you doing? Go, get ready now.
I beg your pardon?
Didn't you want to see the town?
You will show me around?
You're the one who asked. Not like I have any other options, so yeah, I'll show you around. This is him being nice? Girly, your standards are below the floor, huh?
Thank you.
Don't just stand there, you dullard. Get a move on.
One moment. Wait for me, please.
Oh, I hate Jacopo already.
He hurriedly climbed into the carriage he had called for, a look of frustrated displeasure on his face. And then, as if he had forgotten about me until the moment he returned, grabbed me by the arm and led me to the carriage. In retrospect, I realized he was not being very gentlemanly, but I was pleased that he was making any attempt to interact with me at all. As the carriage trotted down the streets, I saw so many new things. I'd spent most of my time cooped up inside the house, so it was like stepping into an entirely new world. And add to that the rapid industrial advancement currently taking place, I saw men shouting back and forth as they smacked newspaper articles with the backs of their hands. I saw corner cafes crowded with cigar-smoking men on break from work. It was like the hustle and bustle of a festival, but every festival has its underside. I also saw overworked men looking like they were on the verge of collapse, drinking water from a spigot on the side of the road. By way of contrast, I wore fine clothing and had a carriage at my disposal. I imagine every day was a struggle for them, just to remain afloat. Had I not married the man I had, I too might have found myself in the streets in a similar situation. But it was not relief that spread through my breast as the sight of them. It was pangs of guilt. It felt to me like a life of opulence was wrong, sinful.
Fair point, and true.
Broke my heart to know that I was living so much better than them. Jacopo snorted disapprovingly at me, seemingly reading my mind, and then said,
"The poor man who envies the rich covets his wealth and finds the ambition to make the same for himself. And the rich man who pities the poor, thinking it's his duty to give them offerings of philanthropy. To me, the latter is far more nefarious. Excessive charity will ruin a man, make him come to expect handouts." Okay, Jacopo. And then there are those with the wrong idea of pity, who let themselves fall down to the same place, mistakenly believing it'll somehow make the poor feel better. What a joke. If you're going to do anything for them, you might as well encourage them to climb upwards. Okay, Jacopo. Spur on economic growth and flow of capital. Yeah, trickle down economics. That's, no, that's way later. But, like, that, trickle down economics. Jacopo invented it, actually. It's Jacopo's method. Trickle down economics. It works, trust me.
I say nothing, simply smiling and giving an ambiguous nod. He had a point. My sympathy and guilt meant nothing to people actually experiencing hardship.
Okay, that one's true. That one's the only truth he had there. That's the only point he had there.
If feeling guilty for my own fortune, I acted upon the pity in a way he had described, it would accomplish little more than self-satisfaction. He seemed to have seen straight through my very core. This was a man who had built his own fortune through investment, which I imagine required him to be rather astute.
I guess you can do that in this time period, depending on your gender and race and where you are in the world. I guess that's possible in this time period. Specifically this time period.
But doesn't a world where everyone is constantly trying to climb higher and higher sound rather exhausting? I personally would prefer to be in a position where I could watch, if only from a distance, as others climbed. But obviously, I couldn't say as much to him. Sometime later, the carriage came to a stop in front of a shop. As I looked at the building perplexedly, he gestured to the door with his chin, signaling for me to get out. Lost and confused, I stepped down from the carriage, and before me spread a showcase behind a large glass window. However, lined up in the case were not precious metals or expensive clothing, but machines. At first, I had no idea what kind of devices they were.
Have you never had your photo taken before?
No, I have had a portrait painted, though. Are these machines for taking photographs?
A portrait, eh? Why am I not surprised?
I did not mean to boast.
Go on, get in.
Please wait. Wait for me.
Okay. This picture's probably cute, though.
The owner came out to greet us with a wide smile as we entered the shop.
Well, if it ain't the strangest thing I've seen all day. You bringing a lady, and a real looker at that. Where on earth you'd catch this pretty little thing? She's my wife. Huh? Well, I beg your pardon. I'll be a monkey's uncle. Just goes to show you never know where the cards may fall. Make it sound like my getting married is some kind of miracle. I always saw you as one to choose money over love, sir. Oh, pardon me. This isn't appropriate for me to say in front of your wife.
Do you often come to this shop?
On occasion. I need some things here from time to time.
I see.
There you go, smirking again. What's so funny?
We're going to have our photo taken, yes? I'm so nervous and excited. I've never had one before. And to have it taken side by side with you?
What are you talking about?
Pardon?
Who said we were getting our pictures taken? And side by side? Please. You're sending shivers down my spine. My God! He is just so unlikable. Alright.
But this is a photography shop.
Hey, shopkeep. The product I contacted you about, is it ready? Yep. Sit tight. I'll be right out. You take a seat. There's a chair over there.
What?
I'm going to show you something much more exciting than sitting still and waiting in front of a camera lens.
Oh?
Just do as I say.
Okay. I sat down in front of a large mirror, which I presume was normally used to check your appearance before having your picture taken. Sitting before a mirror with someone else present was quite nerve-wracking. Out of embarrassment, I dropped my gaze to my knees. But when Jacopo entered, I was entranced by the curious object in his hands.
What? Oh. Sorry, I just hate him still. Okay. She's so cute, though.
What is this?
You know what persistence of vision is?
The human eye does not perceive the world 100% accurately. This is especially true for objects in motion. It remembers images for a short time. So you put a new image in the same place, your eye perceives it as motion. Seeing for yourself will be faster than explaining. You see the slits in the disc? Look through the bottom one and into the mirror. Okay. Good. Just like that. Bring your head in close. Here goes. Standing behind me, he slid his fingers across the top of this peculiar toy, causing it to spin gracefully. And then... Are we going to see a little animation? Cute! Ah. So what do you see? They're dancing. A man and a woman are dancing. Sounds like you're not having any trouble seeing it. Are they dancing well? Yes, they are. It's the most adorable thing. What? Adorable? It's funny. I asked to have it modeled after a ballroom dance. Oh, he made this. It's a very elegant dance. But you see, they're small, like little dwarfs, which I thought was kind of cute. And they seem close, going around and around without ever letting go of each other's hands. This is incredible. Why does it look like they're dancing? They were all lined up in a row a few moments ago. Goodness, I just explained that to you. It's playing a trick on your eyes. What you're seeing is lots of different pictures in a short period of time. To put it into words you might understand better, it's an illusion. Your eyes are being fooled into thinking the image is moving. An illusion. But they're dancing. They really are. And they look like they're having a wonderful time. Are you sure it's an illusion and not something else? To me, it does not seem to be. I cannot see it as anything but two tiny people dancing. That's how it works. Reach out your hand and try to grab them. You won't be able to. You're right. That's a shame. I didn't think you actually would. But it's the most precious thing. They look as though they're dancing atop my palm. I was mesmerized by the strange phenomenon. Pictures were moving, after all. Still images had begun dancing before me. It was almost as if God had breathed life into them. He had called it an illusion, but I could not grasp that. It was such an adorable, heartwarming sight. I imagined the two were living in some other world separate from our own. They looked so happy. I was almost certain that they were off dancing in their joyous world, free from all sorrow and loneliness and the pain of this one. Eventually, the speed at which they danced began to slow, as if they were resting their legs, almost though I could hear the sound of their feet with each step. They've stopped. They can dance forever. They don't get tired. I see. I'm amazed such an incredible device exists in this world. It makes me wish I had gone outside sooner. I'm sure someone from a distinguished house as yours has seen plenty of amazing things with your family. Hardly. I rarely ever leave the house. I'm ignorant about the ways of the world. If you had not told me, I probably never would have known about moving pictures. The illusion of moving pictures. Do you like it? Yes, of course. More than the portrait you had painted? Yes, I do. The painting was wonderful too, but... You can't seem to make up your mind. Go on, tell me which one you like better, the portrait or this. I like this better. See? He looks somewhat pleased. Though when it comes down to it, this is a simple trick only a child would fall for. And I suppose that makes me a child. If it means I get to watch something as splendid as two tiny people dancing, I'll happily fall for the trick. Quit describing it as two tiny people dancing. Going to lose your head that far up in the clouds. I'm sorry. I don't know how else to describe it, though. Okay, I'm trying to remember. Phenakistoscope? Phenakistoscope? It's a toy called a phenakistoscope. Phenakistoscope? Phenakistoscope. Oh my god, I can't say it. Wheel? Close enough. It was invented around 30 years ago. The shopkeep make one modeled after the original design. So the shop owner drew this.
He did.
A lot better than you'd expect, isn't it? Yes, indeed. I'm surprised he could draw something so cute.
See that to his face and he'll go red as a beet. What I'd give to get a load of that. You should tell him the next time you see him.
He's a sweet man.
Despite how he looks, you mean?
It's not right to judge people based on their appearance.
Ha, I'm kidding. Don't take it too seriously. The shopkeep here loves new technology. The phenakistoscope is one of the inventions that caught his eye. You can trick the eye into thinking drawings are moving. Using a sequence of photos, you can perhaps make it seem as though real people are moving too. And it becomes possible to show those images to many people at once. These developments could broaden the options artists have to express themselves.
Not drawings, but photographs?
Yes, photos. By taking hundreds or perhaps thousands of photographs, it'd be possible to reproduce the world as we see it. This room, people walking down the streets. There's no point in recording boring everyday life, though. If you're going to leave a recording of anything behind, it should be the projects and enterprises that move nations. Say, for example, a moving record of the opening ceremony of the railroad. That would be something worth watching. And then in time, it would expand beyond a mere record-keeping technology and find its way into the hands of artists.
Is such a thing possible? You must remain still for a long time just to take a single photograph.
Right now, it isn't. But eventually, it will be. And I'm not simply fantasizing here.
Is that so? It sounds so very futuristic. Do you...
What?
Do you want to support people who work on that sort of thing? Is that why you're friends with the owner?
It has nothing to do with my wants. I merely think there's money in it. The rich starve for entertainment, and the artists create that entertainment. I have no interest in their pretentious self-expression. I just want their money. What? What's so funny?
You look like you're enjoying yourself.
Honestly, it's just about the money.
As you say.
Okay, I guess we're gonna stop there. I'm gonna stop in between in the middle of their date or whatever, but I hate Jacopo. I don't know what she sees in him. I literally don't know what it is. I have no idea. I don't know what she sees. I don't know. I'm not gonna pretend to. But girly, well, I guess she sees freedom, which she probably hasn't had ever really. So I guess that makes sense. But I hate Jacopo. Can't figure out where this story's going. Don't see me liking him. Probably see me hating him more. I believe that's on the agenda, but I don't have much to add. I'm interested to figure out, I guess, again, white-haired girl stuff, as always. That's always here. See if my theory about the, like, story stuff is true. If this is, then it'll click to me what she is representing in this story, I guess, eventually. But for now, I have no idea. And Maria's gay. Like, God, is she gay? Oh, God, Maria. All right. Well, maybe, hopefully, white-haired girl will leave him for Maria at the end. I don't know. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. All my stuff is down below as usual. I'll see you guys next Monday for Morgana Monday, or check out my other videos. You don't have to, but, like, you know, they also exist, I suppose. All right. Well, have a good one, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye. I've yanked out my earbud. Bye.